I don't talk about current events.
Yeah, you've never, as far as I'm aware, you've never commented on politics. You've never made any.
No, politics came around to me in an interesting way. I'll just share this because it's exactly how it happened. Rogan had Robert Kennedy Jr. on his podcast.
Okay.
And I liked the post and I commented, and the comment was the following. I said, I hope all presidential candidates go on long form podcasts, because I happen to believe that it's a great way to get to know candidates. Plural.
Oh, fuck. No. So didn't someone edit your Wikipedia page?
Okay. So this is interesting. So I got calls from colleagues of mine at Stanford. I got literally calls and texts. I got calls from major media outlets asking whether or not I'm an RFK supporter / anti-vaxxer, to which I said, I don't know how you concluded that. Okay. That's certainly not my stance, right? My politics are my politics, but there was a huge leap from, and I said, in my comment, I said, I look forward to listening and I hope all the candidates go on long form podcasts. I also see Robert in the gym and it always looks like he's training hard. He trains hard.
He's in good condition.
Yeah. He wears jeans, which I don't understand when he trains, but anyway, he trains hard.
Odd choice.
Odd choice, but free country.
So be it.
So be it. So was I commenting on the content of his podcast? No. Was I commenting on?
You probably hadn't even listened to it yet.
I hadn't listened to it yet. So, but what's interesting was in the subsequent days, I got an onslaught of kind of assumptions or presumptions, really what they were. And then, yes, this isn't about, maybe this is the time. I've published over 70 peer-reviewed articles that are indexed on PubMed, many of which had secondary sources in Time and other major outlets that covered the findings for their relevance to the general public at the time. This is around 2016 mostly, but in the subsequent years as well. That was scraped from my Wikipedia. Scraped from Wikipedia.
You mean like scrubbed, removed from Wikipedia? Yeah.
Well, my research contributions are not there on Wikipedia
anymore.
Still. And then there were assertions that I was an anti-vaxxer. There were assertions that I was supporting certain political agendas and so on. And then the page was locked by the editorial staff. I've had communications with the founders of Wikipedia, who the page has been adjusted somewhat, but none of my research has been put back. I actually am at this point. I think it's sort of interesting because it's more actually. It's kind of fortunate that it happened in the sense that it's more telling about how the kind of editorializing around Wikipedia exists than this is really not about me. I'm telling this anecdote as a way to sort of reveal what was my experience. Makes very clear that now it includes some positives, some negatives about the podcast. That's fine. We cover supplements. Some people are and promote supplements in certain contexts, mostly behavioral tools, but supplements too. And so I'm perfectly fine with that being included because that's true. But it was very interesting to see how when the way that sort of people will pick up the ball and run with things.
Yeah.
And it's been super useful for me to understand this, because what it's allowed me to do, at first it was like, hey, like, what's this about? Then I tried to figure it out. Then I went, straight to the top in terms of trying to understand. And I realized it's like, okay, what do I really love doing? I love foraging for information that can benefit people's mental health and physical health. I love organizing that information. I love dispersing that information to the best of my abilities. And those are the things that make me happy. And those are the things that seem to resonate with a certain number of people. Those are also some of the same things that seem to irritate a certain number of people. And I love doing it. And so what I'm going to do is just return to doing that. Yeah. And I learned a lot about the landscape of online information in the process.
Very formative experience, it seems.
Very formative. And as an academic, all my papers are on PubMed. Unless a paper is retracted or corrected, there's no removing things from the Library of Congress.
So your Google Scholar will just be kind of like no one's going in there.
My H index is fixed. And it's not, to be very clear, I want to be very clear because I don't want to contradict the very thing that I opened up the question, which is this is not something I want to like die on the sword of right?
Course.
But it really alerted me to the fact that so much of the information that's on the internet has been massaged in a particular direction based on presumptions. So one of the reasons I'm taking this opportunity to talk about this is not to counter major media news outlets. They're just trying to make a living. It's kind of interesting. They have a lot of the same advertisers that my podcast does. I don't advertise Fendi bags, but they use advertisers. We use them. It makes it free to everybody as a consequence. But I think that it's really important for people to realize that this question of like, who can we trust? What can we trust? We all have to learn to be good scientists and foragers of information. And the macro for me is that hopefully people are learning to forage for information better as a consequence of understanding that no one person holds the truth. This is not Mount Olympus.